August 27, 2005, under the lights at Bobby Nuss Stadium in St. Bernard, Louisiana, Chalmette High School hosted its annual football jamboree. That night, the Fighting Owls battled the Skippers of Mandeville High School.
We had just come off of a 9-1 regular season from last year. Previous year was 10-0. So everybody was really excited about the season. That was the year that we were going to have like juniors returning, a lot of juniors returning, and starters that had significant playing time over the past couple of years.
We were all sitting in our stadium, which we love, for our first football game of the year. A jamboree was going on. And we knew that there was a hurricane in the Gulf, but it had not put us in its crosshairs yet, so we just assumed it was going to go to Florida.
On August 29, 2005, the lights at Chalmette High School dimmed.
The firefighters radioed that the levees had broken and that water was coming in.
And then all of a sudden, the water was 5.5 feet high inside the school. It came within 15 minutes.
And eventually, more than 1,200 St. Bernard residents would battle heat, hunger, and rising water at the school shelter of last resort.
The water had gone down enough in one part of the campus where we could get the people out toward our stadium and walking toward what we called St. Bernard Highway, which is drier, get them out. They were able to walk to the ferry.
Days after escaping the floodwaters, a small team of educators and staff members reconvened in Baton Rouge to begin another battle, a battle of survival for the St. Bernard school system and its devastated community.
So I was one of the first people back in the parish afterwards, coming back to work to try to help get the school system, the transportation end of it, up and running again, as well as going into the buildings with the insurance adjusters and FEMA and Ronnie Alonzo, who was with insurance for our district at that time, and we were assessing damage.
So we met with the FEMA officials. They promised me that within 90 days we could have modular buildings set up. And quickly, as each day progressed, more promises were broken and they could not be kept.
What about my job? And that was the thing that all asked about their job. And we couldn't really say anything because we didn't know what was going to happen. We knew Ms. Voce was trying to get the schools back, but you just didn't know when and if you'd have any students.
They were very long days, they were very difficult days. The question list kept growing, and unfortunately the answers weren't coming yet.
So I guess around the middle of October, when I began hearing from them, oh, I don't think it's doable now, maybe by March, maybe by April, we can help you get a makeshift school together. So we looked at them and said, thank you very much, but we'll do it ourselves.
We laid out the plan for the trailers to be implemented in the parking lot at Chalmette, and the very first day we saw the trailers, knowing that it was a possibility, that's when it started to feel like we could get this done.
And on November 14, 2005, only 11 weeks after the storm, the St. Bernard Unified School opened its doors to 334 students in the parking lot of Chalmette High School.
Somebody had to take charge of, and every person who came back took charge of some part of the job of reopening a school.
The job that the administrators and the teachers did before I even got here has been phenomenal. I can't imagine what they've done to get us to the point that we're at right now. It's just an incredible job. I can't be more thankful to be here.
God bless our teachers who came back in November and this year, because bless their hearts, they never could achieve any type of stability in their classrooms, because just as they'd settle down to start instruction, 2, 3, 4 new kids would walk in, and every child was in need. Every child had a story. Every child had to readjust.
From November until May of that year, those doors would be busy as more and more students and families began returning to school. Although few families were living in the area, they still came, across bridges, across state lines, wanting to return. The St. Bernard School District welcomed them all.
Kids want to be back. Their family's going to come back. We will have a way to be a community again.
From Catholic schools, private schools, little ones and big ones, in all, 2,360 students found a home at the St. Bernard Unified School.
We had teachers that were interested in coming back. We could at least offer them a FEMA trailer, you know, a little 8x30 place to stay in, and many of them took advantage of that, and that's pretty much. We had teachers that were wanting to come back, really just needed to come back to St. Bernard, you know, some had positions elsewhere and wasn't real happy with them.
In May of 2006, a very special graduation took place as young men and women of all different backgrounds, wearing different colored caps and gowns, but all united by their love of home, their love of school, their love of St. Bernard.
We were able to make it available to any kid who wanted to participate, who had met the graduation requirements, where they got to hug together, cry together, laugh together, and recapture a little bit of that senior time. I was incredibly impressed with how respectful each school was of the other schools.
Gradually, the story about the little school system that could spread and inspired people from across the country and around the world to help, volunteer, and work to shape the destiny of the school district.
They really don't believe it until they get here as to the dimension of the disaster, of the devastation. On TV, you just get a one-dimensional look at it, so to speak. But when you walk in it, when you smell it, when you experience it, and the wind is blowing and the dust is blowing around, and you can really appreciate the level of the devastation and how it has so impacted every house, every street, every church, every business, everything here has been impacted by that storm.
I know I'm remiss because there's just been story after story after story of people who have gone the extra mile to help. And as I said, lots of help from Americans and international neighbors.
Rebuilt libraries will help bring children back to their schools, and rebuilt schools will bring families back to the revitalized Gulf Coast.
This outpouring of love and support has been overwhelming, and it has been constant. But in the fall of '06, the real work for the district was just beginning, for at that time the school system had shifted its focus, transitioning from survival mode to recovery.
In the very beginning, our relationship with FEMA was difficult and at times very tense. Even though they were very good people, they seemed to struggle with the massiveness of the event and were bound by what seemed like a very strict interpretation of the FEMA rules and regulations and the Stafford Act. A few months after the disaster, our former First Lady Laura Bush came to visit us, and I think saw that we were really trying to come back and do the right thing. And it seems like from that point on, the attitude toward us changed somewhat. They saw that we were very serious about rebuilding our schools and thus our community, and they began to work more in a partnership with us to help rebuild our school system and lead the community in the rebuilding process.
You could see little things starting to happen. People were coming back and different little places were opening. So I knew it wouldn't be. We would be back. I mean, I never thought we'd be back as big as we are right now.
And we're growing so fast that now I've got to get together a contract package to put out to get a second building up and going.
After a miraculous 72-day turnaround, another school was ready, and Andrew Jackson School opened its doors. What was once the district's magnet high school opened to students from pre-K through 6th grade. AJ's opening alleviated some of the recovering district's growing pains, but as the student numbers continued to rise, plans for opening additional schools began to take shape. Despite the shortages of materials and resources and the difficulties in navigating the FEMA maze, progress was steady, and the construction of new school buildings throughout the area became tangible signs of recovery, giving hope to those that had returned.
The gentlemen I've worked with at FEMA have all been very professional. They've all understood the needs we have down here, and they've all attempted to work with us to get the schools operational. I just can't say enough good about them because they really were an amazing group of professionals who came down here to help out.
And on August 29, 2006, the one-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, residents, neighbors, and old friends all gathered for food and fellowship as the school system hosted the first annual Day of Reflection, a time to reminisce and reconnect as a community. This breakfast was held in the only public building in St. Bernard capable of hosting such an event, the Chalmette High School Gymnasium.
We offer this morning to our community as an opportunity for friends and neighbors to spend time together on this day in order to heal, in order to look forward together to better days.
And it was here, in front of the hundreds of community leaders and politicians representing St. Bernard Parish, that the school system reiterated its commitment to the children of the community. The school district was leading the recovery. The school district was indeed rebuilding with pride.
And we will not allow them to forget you. And we're going to build every parish, every neighborhood, every single part of South Louisiana. And when we do, as the children said, we will give back 100-fold to this nation what we can give them. If they'll just help us a little more in our time of need, we promise them we will make it well worth their investment. God bless you all.
We will come back, and the parish will be as strong and as vibrant and as united as it once was.
In October of 2006, as both a testament to tenacity and a source of pride, A football game was played under the lights at Bobby Stadium. This event was not just a sport contest, but rather a true community celebration for all of those who had returned.
Just a feeling of pure joy. Having been through such complete devastation in moments that we thought we would never be able to come back. And we put together a tremendous event. We had 5,000 people that night. When those lights came on, and I saw the kids cheering in the stands and the little ones running around with their faces painted and the fireworks, and we could look out and see a true community spirit.
These are my people, and this is where I come from. That's why we want to be back in St. Bernard Parish.
More and more families followed the light home to St. Bernard. And as the parish grew, the school system continued to demonstrate its courage to lead. Just as it was critical to open new facilities, it was equally as important to restore the educational programs and services necessary for student success. And from January of 2007, with yet another school opening at the Trist site, to August of 2007, when Goche in Raleigh opened its doors to students, the school district was relentless in bringing back teachers and providing the best state-of-the-art technology for them and their students. The district was looking ahead, committed to becoming a premier school district.
We're a community of good people, you know, and I think they missed that camaraderie that they had with the other teachers and that, and they saw some of the teachers that were coming back and they wanted to be back with their friends.
In the spring of 2007, we got a team of national educators to come in to take a look at what we were doing systemically throughout the system, and we were awarded that prestigious district-wide accreditation from SACS. And I think that was something that the community could be proud of, to know that we were still providing quality education for our students.
We have 2 schools now under construction, brand new, where old schools once stood. Old schools, incidentally, that I had designed, so it was very difficult to see them torn down, but they were, and now we have the next phase going on. So we're going to have really interesting architecture going into these buildings. They're going to have everything that students really will need. They'll be totally wired for all the new technologies. We have Promethean boards going in.
But on August 29, 2008, the past and the present converged, creating a sense of anxiety and fear to all of those that had gathered at the 3rd annual Day of Reflection. For as this community breakfast was taking place, another storm was bearing down. Hurricane Gustav had set its sights on southern Louisiana.
This storm is bearing down again on Louisiana. We don't know whether it's going to hit southeast or south central or southwest, but the probability is that a storm of a Category 3 and potentially 4 will hit somewhere in Louisiana.
We continued with the breakfast knowing that that storm was bearing down on us. And while it was a joyous occasion, one in which we celebrated, we had that nagging feeling. And as we wrapped up that breakfast and looked around and talked with kids, you could see the fear and the uncertainty and the uneasiness in their eyes. So as they left us that day and said, "We'll see you next week, we'll see you next week," we were all hoping that we would really see them next week.
Our levees and the resolve of our community were tested by this storm, but both held fast, and after a sigh of relief, it was back to work. Throughout 2008, the focus continued on improving teaching and learning.
Fundamentally, this is happening. Fundamentally, we are celebrating because of the will and the spirit of the people of St. Bernard, and that's the greatest cause for celebration. And finally, as we celebrate that, let's also use it in a positive way, as we do all good celebrations, not to forget the past and not to rest on our laurels, but certainly to be even more motivated and focused on the work that remains.
In the fall of 2009, on the 4th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, the St. Bernard School District unveiled its newest and most ambitious project to date, the opening of the 9th grade academy on the former site of the Lacoste Elementary School campus.
This is a wonderful monument and a wonderful, just a concrete depiction of our commitment to education in St. Bernard Parish. And this will go on for many, many years. The way we use school buildings in St. Bernard, it doesn't have to last 150 years. So 150 years from now, people can look back at this building and say the people of St. Bernard really cared about the kids.
Our children have accomplished things that I think are almost phenomenal. Our graduating class amassed over $4 million in scholarships. Chalmette High School, through U.S. News and World Report, was rated as one of the top high schools in the country. Our 4th graders were 4th statewide in LEAP and 1st in the Math LEAP. Our 10th graders scored 3rd in the state in the English end-of-course testing. And we have seen our test scores grow over these years.
Work and recovery continue throughout the parish, and our numbers continue to grow, both in student enrollment and in completed projects. New schools, a new theater, a swimming pool, a cultural arts center, and a new maintenance facility are all testament to the power of dreams, the resiliency of our people, and the strong leadership of the St. Bernard Parish school system.
It's truly amazing that over the last 5 years, what it was back in 2005 to what it is today. Today we have the state-of-the-art schools, we have test scores that are up, we got the finest facilities for your children of St. Bernard Parish to attend.
And another symbol has been created in the process. Spanning Judge Perez is a covered bridge linking Chalmette High School with the Lacoste campus. This walkway links the two facilities, but more importantly, it connects all of the people of St. Bernard in the spirit of what was, what is, and what can be.